So we have updates on pigs. The pigs they develop are used to provide organs for human transplant use. I think, the benefits of this are clear, but my question is, why is it always pigs? Hello, my name is Tony Chin-Quee, and welcome to Social Rounds, the podcast in which two of the happiest surgeon dropouts you'll ever meet give our unsolicited opinions on the states of medicine, the world at large, pop culture, and whatever else we happen to find interesting. And we're going to start things a little differently today with breaking news. Guys, my beloved co-host, Frances May Harden, is not here. She is gone. She does not want to be found. She is away on sabbatical and has gone completely off grid. I can't get to her. Nobody can. And you know what? That's as it should be, because it's a well-earned break. She's been working real hard getting the whole Hippocratic collective off the ground this year. So she needs a break. So she's somewhere in Europe. I will not disclose her location, but I see her on Instagram and it looks dope. So anyway, overachievers, do this. Just leave and do not answer your emails and do not, respond to anybody professionally. But the show must needs go on. So I brought in a ringer today, and she's not a surgeon dropout. Well, she's not a dropout. She's still working, but she is Canadian. And the host of the wonderful podcast, The Other Human in the Room. Please give a big Social Rounds welcome to Joan Chan, MD. Hello, how are you?
I am so well. Thanks for having me. I am this show's #1 fan. I've been watching every week, and I enjoy both of you humans so much. So watching you interact and your wit sparking off each other, I feel like this is like the fan, when like the fan gets to go on the show.
Yes.
I feel like I want a contest or something.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying all that. I love having a day one on here. She didn't have to get on a bandwagon. She was just like, you know what, I'm here for this as soon as it's announced. And I can attest, like, she let me know after the very first one came out, she was pumped up. And I was like, guess what? You don't even know how pumped you're about to be, because you're about to be on this podcast with me. But real questions, Joan. I know you're very seasoned and experienced, but the people are going to be jarred that Frances May is not here. And, let's get introspective for a moment. Like, what makes you interesting enough to co-host the most influential and successful medical podcast on earth?
Oh my gosh. Well, part of it is like you still get a half Chinese female.
We got some half Asian. There we go.
So like, we're not at all related, but like we could be sisters, Frances May and I. So I feel like it's like a smoother transition, like a cross taper, less jarring, less withdrawal effects. I am Canadian. And so, and I know you're over there in the UK. So we've got like the whole colonial Commonwealth situation happening.
Yes, no, it's Social Rounds International, guys. It's we're worldwide, bitch. That's what we do here.
That's what we're doing. Like, color has a U in it. Sorry. I don't know if you knew that, but it does.
Don't worry about how we spell color or labor. Like, that's the U is going to be there. Because
the U is going to be there, and it ought to be there.
The royalty has decreed such spelling.
That makes me want to do it less now. But is that?
Are we colonizers because we've adopted their spelling? It's possible.
I don't know.
It's uncomfortable to think about. Are you generally good at stepping into other people's shoes? Like, should we be bracing for disappointment, or are you?
Well, I started my career doing a lot of locums, and so I was at that point was great at stepping into different practices. I'm a family physician, so you have to like kind of embody another person's vibe and pick that up. So I have that past experience, and I guess like time will tell. Like, comment on the YouTube, send us the DMs, and I'm ready. I'm open to feedback. So if you're like, it wasn't good enough, tell me.
This is actually our first recording since the podcasts have been released. So this is the first time that I can speak about the response that we've gotten. And I feel generally positive, perhaps overwhelmingly so. Um, people are very
True.
active on Instagram. That seems to be the place to be for
Yeah.
discourse. And there's a lot of commenting, a lot of DMs. I've gotten some here and there. I'm kind of social media allergic, so this has been a really emotional time for me. But people have been generally really nice.
Ah, that's wonderful. And deserved. Who's not going to be nice to Tony and Francis May? If you're out there being not nice to these folks, look in the mirror.
Get out of
What you
here.
doing with your life?
You gotta get on top of lots of things. But I also do, before we get into what we do here, I do want to circle
Yeah.
back to the partially Asian percentage just present on this podcast at
Yes.
all times. Because I don't know, like, people don't know me, but you've seen my name.
You
Like,
got
my
the
last
chin.
name is Chin-Quee. It
Mhm.
is Chinese by way of Jamaica, guys. So if you didn't know, there's actually a lot of Chinese folks in Jamaica. And sometimes if you see these kind of Chinese-ish looking last names with like a hyphen in the middle, it's usually Jamaican. If you
That
didn't
is
know that.
so cool to know. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
So we're kicking it with the partial Asianness here, just repping heritage. And
Absolutely.
just so you guys know how inclusive we are at all times. We're inclusive of ourselves, and we invite you all to do the same.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into it, Joan. Like, let's do what we need to do. So we're gonna hop into news. So our first segment, this is the one in which we give our rapid fire takes on recent inside baseball medical news and outside baseball news of medicine out in the real world. So this one's fun for me for like reasons that I didn't realize would be fun when I read the story. Okay, so we have updates on pigs. So eGenesis, it's a biotech company that develops gene edited pigs. So like, note the language, right? Like, they don't raise pigs, they develop pigs. And I just find that interesting. We're going to circle back.
Mhm.
All right. So anyway, the pigs they develop are used to provide organs for human transplant use. So they utilize CRISPR gene editing technology to remove the alpha gal gene, which makes the human body reject tissue from other mammals. And if you're a devout listener of this podcast, you know that I am the internet's authority on all things alpha gal related. I've never had to ask for help in defining or understanding what alpha gal is. And so don't worry about it. And I'm not insecure because you are. And they just received FDA approval to begin human trials. Now, these transplants, we call them xenotransplants. Xeno, of course, being a prefix, that means foreign or strange. They've been done before, like several times, but only as experimental treatments for those who have exhausted all their other options. So as a result, data has been pretty difficult to interpret since these patients are otherwise super sick. And so when they pass away of infection or non-kidney related disease complications, it's really hard to know if the pig kidney contributed or if they're actually very good. We have no idea. So this is going to be really good. We can get many more people at different stages of disease into this sort of treatment. And if it works well, this is really good for a whole lot of people because kidney disease is so prevalent. But Joan, I think, the benefits of this are clear. But my
Yeah.
question is, like, why is it always pigs? Like, I know, they always say like
Right.
pigs have anatomy that's very similar to human anatomy, but like monkey anatomy is very similar to human anatomy. So like, and probably even more similar. So like, why is it pigs? Like, why? How we feel about this?
It's a great question. And my answer is going to be pure speculation because I
Do
have
it. We
no
speculate here.
actual idea. But
Uh-huh.
I do wonder if it's about perhaps like the ease of raising,
Mm,
as well as I just do think, I mean, like ethics involving animal experimentation are very subjective and can be quite spicy and a hot topic anyway.
whew,
But I do think that there's
give me the
more
spice.
humans that would have moral objection to harvesting organs from monkeys than pigs, even though there's probably arguments of like, I think pigs are actually pretty smart. And I am a pig eater. So I'm not like,
Joan,
I am
you're
grateful for the
reading my
pigs that I'm
mind,
eating.
dude. You're
Yeah.
reading my mind on this. I'm just like, hey, man, I got issues. I realized as I was reading this, I was like, wait a second. Is this because we think of pigs as food and
Right.
we don't think of monkeys or like whales or like anything
No,
else
those are like,
as
"Oh,
food?
no, you couldn't. You couldn't.
You could
It's
never.
wrong
You
to
could
make
you
those
could you could
animals."
never raise a monkey and terrorize it and like chop it up for
Yeah.
parts. But come on. Like, yeah, like you said, pigs, they are super smart. They are super interesting, animals. They
Mhm.
have families. They have
Yeah.
offspring that they care for. Like,
Yes.
come on, dude.
I know. It's a morally gray area to be sure. I do actually wonder. Now, I imagine if a company is developing pigs, I think their emotional relationship with these pigs were probably in a state where they don't mind if the pigs die in the process of harvesting the kidneys. But something interesting is that technically you could raise any kind of animal, and then you just have to take one of their kidneys, and then they could like go and keep having a chill life. Because I mean, humans donate kidneys to each other and don't have to die if they're because there's two. You know what I mean? Like
This
there's a way
is
you could be harvesting and
There is
not
a way.
killing.
There is a way, and I think that is an admirably rosy way of
I doubt it's
thinking of
happening. I
how
do,
this
yeah.
company is
'Cause they're probably
probably
like 2 for 1, yay,
utilizing their
like
pigs. Listen,
yeah.
if you're developing pigs, you're
Yeah.
this is what they mean. They're building pigs to their own specifications.
Yeah, yeah,
You're gonna use, like, they're using the
all the parts.
eyeballs, they're
Yeah,
using the lungs, they're using the
yeah.
livers, all that sort of stuff,
Well, I
which
actually
is
hope they
like,
are, if they're going to that whole thing of, like, it's if you're going to kill an animal, like, make sure you do use all the parts, like, in some ways that's more honoring, so I hope they are.
you know what? I have to agree with you there. Like, let's honor these pigs,
Yeah,
utilize that, and you know what? I hope they have, like, I have conflicts about this because I hope they have some sort of life. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, there's interesting ethics around this whole situation, but I don't think that means we shy away from it. I think I love when there's gray. I think that's like, okay, let's really talk about it. Who do we want to be? What kind of people do we want to be? Do we want to be people? We're already people who raise pigs and kill pigs
That is
collectively.
true. That
And
is
so
true.
imagine if we raise pigs and killed pigs to support more human life. If that feels really so morally abhorrent, that's interesting because
Mhm.
we're already I probably in a much more wasteful way. I bet the pigs that are raised to have their kidneys be very healthy are honestly, I bet they are treated better than the ones that are
Because they need to have good kidneys.
yeah,
They gotta be
like
healthy
good
kidneys. So
tasting
you think they're
muscles.
eating good and getting like
Yeah.
cardio?
Massages.
Yes. Like, okay, we're gonna believe, guys. You heard it here first. We're gonna believe that these manufactured pigs are living beautiful, healthy lives in order to donate the entirety of their bodies, I guess, to human science so that their sacrifice can live on.
Absolutely.
Anyway, let's move on to outside baseball news. Okay, so this is real. Okay, so outside baseball today, we're venturing into the cesspool of social media for a troubling story out of Santa Barbara, California. So by the time this airs, many of you will have probably heard about this, but the story is there's an urgent care in Santa Barbara at which several employees filmed a TikTok video in which they pose next to exam tables on which the exam table paper, the stuff we roll down to cover the table, is used. It's used paper, and we know that it's used because there are fluid stains of various shapes and sizes on each table. So the employees are like smiling and giving thumbs ups and whatever, like next to these stains. And the video just captions these like hashtag guess the fluid and are patients allowed to leave you guys gifts is what, they said. And, the people of the internet saw it. It went viral primarily for its display of shameful and disrespectful behavior. And Sutter Health, the parent company of the urgent care, was made aware of the video. And the end of the story is that all the employees featured in the video were fired with extreme prejudice. Now, I don't have TikTok because like I'm an ancient fossil, but I saw clips of the video in news stories. Have you seen this story, Joan?
I've seen people comment on the story, but I actually haven't seen any of the clips of the fluid. But,
Okay.
I practice medicine, so I can imagine.
You can imagine, right? And I think they took the video, the actual TikTok video down. So I was like looking at the news stories, which shows like some stills and whatnot. And it's pretty much, you can see it in your head exactly what they're doing. So this brought up a lot of questions for me. I'm sure lots for you. But my first one was to try to get into the heads of these folks who made this video, right?
Yep.
Like, why do you think these employees made this video? Like, what's the impetus? What makes you think like, oh yeah, like this is a great idea and it's just going to be fun. We're just having fun. You know what I mean?
It's a
Like,
funny thing.
yeah.
It's a good question. Um, I am imagining that these employees were, I wouldn't be surprised if they were maybe a little burnt out or a little cynical. Like this kind of humor, I think is pretty common, especially in spaces where people are overworked, overwhelmed, and therefore turn to kind of that like black, more cynical humor
Mm,
about our role in the system. And so then that's where you can kind of get hyper focused on one bit and forget that like the fluids came from human beings, that probably the if fluids are actually coming out of you, you're not in like a very healthy state. Like those patients were feeling unwell, vulnerable. I know for me, like times where fluids happen to go onto paper, like often the patients are deeply embarrassed themselves, right? So to have the employees sort of forget all that. I mean, I'm sure you have seen it. I certainly have seen it where people they forget that the patients are people. And it's often because they have also forgotten that like they feel dehumanized themselves, they feel overworked. Like that's my like generous interpretation of like how someone could get into that headspace.
yeah.
I also think there's something
You're good at
that
being generous.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
thanks. I try. I'm not saying that excuses it, to be clear, but
Sure.
I can see how, it's sort of like, I don't know, when people get into like weird number competitions about things. Like, I don't know, like people can have all sorts of side games that they're playing that really, again, are forgetting that the people they're talking about are actual people. I also think there's something to be said about kind of TikTok let's be funny culture, and that there's like so many different aspects of that, and if you want the eyeballs then you got to be edgy. And they may have seen things that day on TikTok that they're like, this is the same but it was like not medical, or like this is the same but it was just people describing versus showing. Like it's not like actually, when I heard the story I was like, oh boy, but I wasn't like clutching my pearls, this is the most extreme thing. Like there is all sorts of things on the internet. And healthcare, I think then, you're still bathed in that culture. You think, oh, it's fine to be edgy here. And especially when you're being edgy about by laughing at your patients.
I'm thinking, okay, we live in this culture. Let's, like you said, in order to get eyeballs, you have to be edgy. You have to be, counter cultural, or like, kind of go against the grain, get people like engagement on TikTok
Yeah.
is primarily from people who think negatively about what you post,
Yes.
right? Like,
Controversy.
yeah, you have to
Mhm.
bring controversy. You have to be, uh, you know, just ruffling people's feathers. And I get where you're coming from as far as giving them a certain amount of grace for kind of the burnout or emotional, toll that they may have been dealing with for, a career's worth of time. And I could also see like if I'm but outside of that, if I'm thinking about TikTok, if I'm thinking about how we can do something dumb, in our, we're going to do like a TikTok dance, but it's people in medicine. So they don't expect that. So it's going to be great. But yeah, like what if like we just show like how gross our job is sometimes? You know what I mean? Like the patients aren't here. They're gone. They can't be identified. So what's the problem? Right. And so that to me feels like probably why everyone was like, because there were like 7 or 8 employees like in this video,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't just one person. So I can see how that sort of groupthink would permeate a practice.
Mm.
But it gets me thinking about like, so there's a lot of talk, like, the stuff people are posting about this is like, Oh, it's inappropriate. Oh, it's disrespectful to patients. And, that's just, that's the easy stuff to say. But
Sure.
for me, when I saw this, I thought this was inappropriate and hurtful in a very specific way. And so I thought it'd be interesting. And I don't know if you felt that way too, but can we talk about why this particular behavior is so disrespectful?
Well, I'd love to hear like what hit you in the particulars. I think for me it is just the fact that yeah, like truly when you're in a state where you actually are leaving fluids behind. Like that's not in your control. And that's probably part of why you went to the doctor as well, because you probably would have preferred to keep those fluids in your body, whatever fluid it was. And so that, like, to me, it's just like I'm imagining the particularly vulnerable state of those patients. And so then that just feels extra inappropriate. I'm also imagining like urgent care. It's like people kind of maybe desperate to avoid emerge. Like, yeah, people who are in a more desperate state.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with all that. And my big thing was I'm 95% sure that all of the patients in question are female patients. Like that is when you see like what's going on, you're talking about fluids being left and like all that sort of stuff. Most likely, and not of course, like not everybody, but most likely these are female patients. And this just there's so much wrapped up in the perception and dismissal and the kind of violence against the female body that is wrapped up in the fact that fluids come out of the female body. You know what I mean? And there's so much shame that's been kind of baked into our culture around that. Not just for women in general, but especially for underrepresented women who are they got problems with the medical system for a number of reasons. So the personal barrier for entry into a clinic just to go and be seen, especially for something that could make you so vulnerable that you're leaking and you probably know you are, and you're just like, I have to go and do that. Like for me, that's what was the most disrespectful, because it's kind of upholding this
Mm.
dismissal and disrespect for women's bodies.
Yes.
And I think that that's something that we really have, outside of just like, oh, this is not cool and whatever. Like we have to think like, yeah, specifically though, this is the harm. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that stuff like this is happening, and we're just so casually, kind of upholding these harmful cultural and historical, thoughts and feelings about how we view and judge, the female body.
Absolutely. It really brings to mind. So, like in family medicine, I see all genders and across the age spectrum, right? And one thing that this is really reminding me of is the fact that, say, I have to do an exam on like the genital areas of either male or female people, right? Um, I actually, and I, so in my opinion, a patient should never have to apologize for their body, period. So this isn't saying that men should be apologizing, but it's the opposite. So I
Mhm.
cannot think of a single time where a male patient has gotten on the table and I've had to do like an intimate exam and they've apologized that I have to do it or apologized for the state of those areas of their body.
It's what everybody does that. Yeah.
Like women, it's like more often than not. Like, so at this point, thousands of times women have said, I'm so like, oh, I didn't shave, or like, don't worry, I showered, or I'm so sorry. And I'm like, each time I like stop them, I'm like, you really don't have to apologize. This is my job. And like, you don't have to apologize. But like, so that just speaks to the difference in shame that is socialized into the two genders. Of course, generally not specifically, but like just to say, like I have seen many patients, and only my female patients are apologizing for their state. If there happens to be a leak, they're like, I'm so sorry, I've made a mess. And I'm like, that's what the paper's for. That's what we're here for. We're here to like
Yeah.
help you with this. But the fact that there's such a like a marked difference is I think you really nailed the nail on the head. Like that is what makes it so disrespectful, is that
Mm.
absolutely I'm sure you're right that a majority of those fluids were from women.
Yeah. And you know what? I think we have a lot of younger physicians in training, in med school, all that sort of stuff listening to this. And I think what you said is so vital, the way you kind of described the way that you interact with folks when they come in and you know, difficult, vulnerable things happen in the room. And just recognizing that, like, don't shy away from it. Don't make a joke about it. Don't pretend you didn't see it. Don't just be like, oh, we can just clean that up. That's an easy one to say. That doesn't feel like an attack on somebody, but it is. You know, it's just like recognizing it and showing people that, hey, yeah, you are safe in this space. You should feel safe here. Let me embody that safety. And you have to do it intentionally. It's not going to just happen. You know, you have to have in your mind, like, when stuff happens, this is how I'm going to approach it, knowing me, knowing my personality, knowing how I interact with my patients and all that stuff.
Yep. If you haven't heard of the concept of like trauma-informed medical care, I think that's a related concept to what we're talking here. And like that sometimes it's great to be mindful and even name explicitly, not in a way where you're assuming someone's thought process or history, but that you name the possibility that a particular exam could be harder for someone, and at least opening the conversation of like, hey, is there anything I could do to make you feel more comfortable?
Mhm. Look at that, guys. You didn't necessarily
The more
tune
you
in.
know.
Yeah, you didn't tune in to be like, oh, I'm going to be a better doctor at the end of this podcast. You just want to hear us talk shit. But guess what? We're giving it to you anyway, because
We
we're
can
nice
go back
people.
to the shit talking now.
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
go back to shit. We're going to go, you know what? We're going right now. Let's just
Okay.
get to it. So next segment is social rounds. Okay, so this is where me and Joan will become your life attendings, because it's become abundantly clear that many of you out there are in desperate need of guidance. And we've got the kind of wisdom that only comes from running out of fucks. I don't know about your fuck count, Joan, but
No,
mine
it's low.
it's troublingly low. But I think people will benefit from this. So today we're going to Hollywood. Hollywood. Like I
Doing the
love
dance, jazz
TV. We're
hands.
doing the dance. I'm doing the
Yes.
hands. For those of you listening and not watching, it was glorious. So by the time this episode airs, this is going to be old news. But in the time warp of this show, the Emmy Awards just happened last night. And for the uninitiated, it's a night during which an extremely self-obsessed industry pats itself on the back for jobs well done. And as always, there are a handful of shows that dominated this award show that barely anyone watches, but a lot of people do watch some of them, including The Pit, the most talked about new medical show in ages. So have you seen The Pit, Joan?
I have not seen a single second of The Pit.
Ooh,
So
we're gonna get to
I've heard
it.
that people love it though. And I've had like, physician friends like say to me verbally or post about it, that it's more real. It's more, actually, no, I've seen the clip that I think it was Noah Wiley or some other physician yells at a mom who won't vaccinate her kid. That one like really went viral.
Yeah.
So I think I've seen at least people commenting that. Otherwise, I have not seen it.
Okay. Well, let me give you the backstory on The Pit,
Please.
right? So for those who don't know, Joan included, The Pit is like ER, starring Noah Wiley, the main guy from ER, created by John Wells, a veteran writer of ER. So the show won 5 Emmy Awards last night, including Best Drama and Best Lead Actor in a Drama to Noah Wiley. But the question is it good? And should you be watching it? So, Joan, we know you haven't seen it.
Yeah, is it good?
I've seen it. Well, here's what I have seen. I've seen the first episode.
Very good.
And then I have seen no more. Okay? And that is not to say that this isn't a very well made show, right? As far as, the conceit also of the show is that every hour of the show is 1 hour in real time of
oh my
a
God,
shift
it's
in
like
the
24.
ER. It's like 24. which we love,
Yes.
starring, noted
Canadian.
Canadian Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes.
One of my favorite shows of all time. I'm so glad you said that, Joan, because like we don't give enough 24 love these days. I
Remember
think like people
24?
people trying to chase what it was, but
Yeah.
this ain't it.
Okay.
Anyway, that's what they do. It's 1 hour. Each hour is part of the shift, right? And it's just madhouse in the ER all the time. Blah 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 blah. And it's for its portrayal of different scenarios that you might see in the ER. And the special effects work, like the makeup work they do to make stuff look actually real. Very well done. Like very
Cool.
well done. They did their homework. It's cool. But the pace is relentless. There's something new happening every like 5 minutes, and everyone's
Yeah.
just stressed out all the time. And I was just like, hey, guess what? I don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't want that in my life.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah. And it's just like, but like you said, lots of people are just like, oh yeah, there must be something to be said about coming home after the trauma of your day job to watch more trauma, like portrayed as accurately as possible.
Sure.
And I guess that's good in some way, like for some folks in their processing of trauma. Personally,
Yeah.
that's not how I like to get down, but I don't know. It sounds like you're of a similar mindset.
I'm the same. Like, I think, gosh, like I haven't watched a medical drama. I'm like fact checking myself. No, but I haven't watched a medical drama since medical school, other than when I was on my first mat leave and I binge watched all of Grey's Anatomy, which
Mm.
that's funny because that's like the time I like in the middle of the night while breastfeeding, because that was like comfort for me.
Yeah. You
Um,
gotta
and
go
also
home
like
to the mothership of
that
Grey's
show
Anatomy.
is medical, but like it's not focused on the medical. Like it is medical, but it's just it's a good soap, so it's
Mm.
like both of those things. But yeah, these days I want to, find myself in different worlds, and I mostly want to keep it light, and I want to laugh, and I want to like that, like those are the kinds of TV shows I am mostly drawn to, other than my husband and I just watched Severance. But then I remembered again why I don't really, even when it's like a cool show, I just don't like when it's the hour long with the thing, because then the twists and turns when they disappoint. Now I'm getting sidetracked on a Severance rant, but I'm like, this is like Lost all over again, where now it's starting to suck, and now I'm drawn in, and I need to know the answers to the mysteries, and they're gonna be stupid. But anyway, that's why I
Yes.
like happy comedies. Give
Happy
me
comedies.
Michael Schur, anything. That's who I want to be spending time with.
I got you.
Any of his
All
shows,
right.
yeah.
So yes. So FYI, The Pit beat Severance last night for best drama.
Oh, well, if it's about season 2. If it's about season 1, well, I don't know. I've never seen The Pit. I'm sure it's also good. There's also like the streaming versus TV. Like Emmys must be having an identity crisis the
I
past
don't know,
several
man.
years.
They're all a mess. I have had and have dealings with Hollywood, and like
Yeah.
the whole thing is like nobody knows anything.
No, they're making it up.
They're making it up. They're not smarter than you, I
Yeah.
promise. And they have a real hard time with this stuff.
Yeah.
But okay, so for you,
Yes.
and this is where the social rounds education is coming in.
Okay.
We got to tell them what to actually watch. Okay.
Yes.
Like,
Okay.
okay. So if you had to choose a medical show, your favorite medical show, the best medical show of all time, according to Joan Chan, MD,
I know.
what
Okay.
would that one be?
I also like never watched ER back in the day. I missed it. I was too young, I think. I
We were
don't
kind
know
of
why.
young. We were kind of young. I remember watching a little
Yeah.
bit of ER.
But it
Back
was
when I was like, I
slightly
think I want to be a
before.
doctor when I grow up. Yeah. And then I watched ER and I was like, yeah, it's so cool. I could totally do it. But we were pretty young.
We were. So like the ones that I watched Grey's Anatomy and Private Practice when it was out. I watched House, and I watched Scrubs. And if there's another one I watched, I don't remember. Like those were like the main ones. And so I would say, especially in the first few seasons, if you want something that is a humorous but accurate take on hospital culture, Scrubs, I think. Like, because there was also this like kind of inspired by House of God and all of that, and it had some of those elements, but then it also had the humor. The way that like the romantic elements and just like women in general, and why do they always have to be in bras, whatever. That part, I mean, it was of its time.
This is TV in the 90s, man.
Yeah. And
They
Zach
gotta
Braff
have
being
like
Zach
perky
Braff.
boobs and like I think
Yes.
yeah, we've been like rewatching I haven't been rewatching. My wife is like as her comfort watch watches Friends all the time. And
Oh,
like, it was there was some very serious uh boob choices made of the time, right? Like
yeah.
it was very like nipple centric
So much
on
so.
Friends for like quite some time. Like that was a style they were trying to get out
Just
there, like,
get those
hey,
nipples out.
ladies, let them out like through
Yeah.
all layers of your clothing.
Yeah. Like
Which
crank up the
it's
heat on these sets. My
yeah,
goodness.
they don't know. They were like actively like, we need to like cut glass with these things. And I was like, is that what TV is all about? But I would, yeah, maybe it was. I would agree with you that for me, the most well done medical show is Scrubs. I think because everyone like gets caught up in like the accuracy question, right? Like doctors love to do that, like, oh, this isn't how it really is. Da, 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 da. And I think, they're not that shouldn't really be the question that we're asking, right? Like if you want accuracy, you can watch the news, you can watch a documentary, but you're watching TV, you want to see stories that are accurate to your experience, like accurate emotionally, right? Like, and so that's where I think Scrubs really nailed it, because it nailed the how absurd and how hard training is in a way that I don't think I haven't seen another show do. And so I love Scrubs for that. I think, Grey's does what it does. You
Yeah.
want that never-ending soap opera, you do that thing. That's no
Still
problem.
going, right? Like it's
Still going.
still going. And Gray is
Season
not
20
on The
something.
Anatomy. She's
Yeah.
not there anymore.
Yeah, Grey isn't even on Grey's Anatomy anymore.
That's
She doesn't
amazing.
even
I
show up.
actually think that's amazing. And like,
Yeah.
I know you have a personal connection to Grays with your time there. But I just think like, yeah, like just the soap of it all, like that is a well-run soap to still be on till this day and have
Yep.
the ongoing new, like the meat grinder of the people coming and going, and literally like everyone's dying off left, right, and center, and yet it
Hey
persists.
man, millions of people
Respect.
watch Grey's Anatomy every single week
That's
still, and shout out to
amazing.
all you guys just hanging in,
Yeah.
because you got a good soap thing going on. Do we
Yeah.
know who any of these
Yeah, who's
this
there
like
now?
10th generation of doctors is? I don't, but you
I
do, and you're loving
know.
it, and I'm not here to hate on that. Okay,
Yep.
so yes, those are our recommendations. If you haven't watched Scrubs, watch Scrubs, especially the younger folks who may not have even had access to it or known about it. That's the one you want to watch, trust us.
Yep.
And with that, I think we're done, Joan.
Ah, we did it.
It's another successful and legendary episode of Social Rounds. And if you enjoy this episode, please subscribe, rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, and check out the website, hippocratic-collective.com, for more shows and content like this. Thanks again to Joan Chan for hopping in and doing an incredible co-hosting job.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we will see you all next week. Bye.